Nos Dallas is the handle on Patreon, and
Okay.
he made a comment, and it really like it kind of a light bulb went off. He said, because someone was like, "Hey, we can't accept losing. It's a bad look, right? You know, we can't get used to it." And he said, "No one is accepting losing, and you're crazy to think Steph is in his prime. The expectation that every season is a championship for us, for this team that's provided for, is arrogant, and why the fan base is terrible."
Hmm.
And I was just like, I do think that we as a fan base are, because it was like you're kind of right, dude. Like, we can't just expect this. But here's what it is. Here's what I think is happening is we are using Steph to justify our entitlement of championship or bust. Because you're right. And if you take a step back, like what Nostalgia said, like, yeah, with 4 and 10, you like we should be. This is all like icing on the cake. But what you hear so often from fans is, no, we can't waste the rest of Steph's prime. And not that prime is a subjective word, but if Steph is still a top 5 player, we owe it to him to put a championship team around him, right? But I think part of that is our entitlement as fans. We're kind of masking it. No, we want the championship team around Steph, maybe more than he does. Apparently, the way he's like letting this go down, you know what I mean? And so it's valid. It's valid that he's still a top 5 guy, but it's not everything. Like, if you take a step back, just like Nostalgia said, like, dang, maybe Steph's good, because that's kind of, I mean, he's not acting that way. Frustration starting to show, but we as the fans, I think we have to understand, like, we can't just say, oh, we owe Steph. Like, there's so many other pieces to this.
Makes sense. But no, you point out the fact that that taste and that desire, that's what got you the juice. That's what got you the chips. Nobody's trying to suddenly not be super intense and all in. So that's what fan stands for, fanatic.
Right.
That's the highest level of, but you got to be tempered on some levels. So then we just extend Steph's prime. Steph is 48. He's still at his prime. Like, there's a comedian who's talking about when your grandmother passes at 150, you can't be on some. It was too soon. Like, no, it's, what I'm saying? So I love your grandmothers. I'm just joking. But do we just extend the time frame at which, because then that gets extrapolated out to, well, Steph's in his prime, who else? And the whole core is going to get back to how it was. And now we're in that reflective glory state and a bit out of reality,
And think about that too. That's probably in Clay's thinking, right? Because we all age differently in athletes, and there's the games and stuff. And it's like, you keep hearing, just statistically, the numbers are crazy. I see Steph slowing down in certain ways, but I probably over-examine him, and like defensively, I've been disappointed. But that's a story for another time. But Steph's still top 5 player in the league. He's enough to make us a contender. So Clay, who's 2 years younger, probably thinks, well, yeah, me too. I'm still in my prime. Watch this. Dallas, when he said that, I was like, man, you kind of right, bro. We are spoiled. At the same time, Steph looks good enough to be the best player on a championship team. But we can't get greedy about it. Is it worth an ugly exile of Klay Thompson and Steve Kerr? But there's a part of me that Clay makes me feel like Clay is forcing their hand. He's not adapting. I think a lot of this is on Clay's got to, if he wants to finish his career with the Warriors, he's got to change. Otherwise, this is just going to be one ugly farewell tour.